94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The Federal Reserve raising its key rate by a substantial 3/4 of a point for the fourth straight time to fight inflation. The Fed's move raised its key short-term rate from a range of 3.75% to 4%, the highest level in 15 years. But the Fed did hint that it could soon reduce the size of those rate hikes. Aides to former President Trump are quietly getting ready for a 2024 presidential campaign. Could be announced soon after next week's midterm election. Donna Warder reports.
Trump's former White House chief of staff, Reince Priebus, says, quote, "I'm like 95% he's going to run," end quote. And Priebus says if other big challengers run, Trump will be very difficult for any Republican to defeat. Another campaign would be a remarkable turn for any former president, especially one who's made history by being impeached twice. I'm Donna Warder.
Also at townhall.com, CVS tentatively agreed to pay $5 billion to settle opioid lawsuits. Julie Walker has more.
Under the deal, CVS would pay about $5 billion to state, local, and Native American tribal governments to settle lawsuits over the toll of opioids. The deal would make the Rhode Island company the first major pharmacy chain to enter a nationwide settlement over how it handled powerful and addictive prescription painkillers. The proposed settlement brings the total of deals to settle suits governments and others have brought against drug makers, distribution companies, and pharmacies to more than $45 billion. CVS is not admitting wrongdoing. I'm Julie Walker.
And after today's Fed announcement, the Dow moved ahead, but now the blue chips off 139 points. More at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's. So thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code SLEEK at checkout. That's harrys.com, code SLEEK. Enjoy!
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. A special legislative panel has rejected calls to legalize the use of psychedelic drugs to address a suicide crisis among military veterans in Missouri. Instead, the panel recommended the state spend at least $27 million on the operation of the newly unveiled 988 Suicide and Crisis Hotline. The Chain of Rocks Park is planning to update its riverfront trail as well as its existing trailhead and habitat next year. The project is funded by local sales tax dollars, federal grants, and private donors. The park was also awarded a $990,000 grant through the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Program. A 2-day snake show in Moscow Mills called Venom Fest had Sunday's activities canceled after a deadly Egyptian cobra went unaccounted for. A vendor found one of his containers had been moved and was empty, even though the seal was still on it. The Missouri Coalition for the Environment will screen the HBO documentary Atomic Homefront on Thursday, November 10th at the Westport Playhouse. The 2017 film looks at the effects of radioactive waste at the Westlake landfill in Bridgeton and contamination in Coldwater Creek. The event is free and a Q&A panel will follow the film. And in sports, Cardinals third baseman Nolan Arenado won his 10th consecutive Gold Glove Award yesterday. Arenado is the second player in baseball history to win 10 consecutive Gold Glove Awards to start a career, tying Ichiro Suzuki. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I shouldn't have to just swallow what you're giving me just because of a party.
You start off with 2 words.
News, analysis, and opinion.
The midterm elections.
I'm going to be all around the country campaigning for a specific candidate.
I think the Democrats are going to get a rude awakening.
Perhaps to assassinate Nancy Pelosi. Condemn what produces the violence.
Making this political and blaming it on Republicans.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your first alert forecast. Sunny and warm today with an afternoon high of 77 degrees. We'll be mostly clear tonight as we drop to 55, and another sunny and warm day tomorrow. A little bit breezy, winds gusting to around 20 miles per hour. We'll see an afternoon high of 78. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
What's happening?
The government September employment report.
The unemployment rate is 3.5%.
The reason we're investigating Hunter Biden is because we believe he's a national security threat.
The latest news, analysis, and opinion.
OPEC's decision to cut production.
OPEC decided to turn their backs on the world.
Everything has a price. Energy security has a price as well.
Right here under the ground, we have oil.
Kamala Harris.
The United States.
It's gross incompetence.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Fox News commentary.
A beloved rapper was shot dead at the age of 28 outside of a Houston bowling alley. The culture of lawlessness strikes again. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Starting to realize your small business is a little overwhelmed by the holiday rush? It's still not too late to get all of your shipping and mailing under control with Stamps.com. Sign up right now, and you'll be printing your own postage in just minutes with discounted USPS and UPS shipping rates. Just go to Stamps.com. Click the mic at the top of the page and use code BUSINESS for a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. That's Stamps.com, code BUSINESS.
Takeoff, one-third of rap trio Migos, was shot dead outside a downtown Houston bowling alley early Tuesday morning. Reports suggest Takeoff, along with 50 other people, were attending a private party when the shooting occurred, and unverified reports indicate the shooting involved a dispute over a dice game. But either way, this is tragic and yet another stark reminder of the lawless America that has been created and sustained. This rapper got a headline, and his death will be talked about for weeks or months. But what about the 14 people, including 3 children, shot on Halloween night in a drive-by shooting on Chicago's West Side? These stories have become so routine, many Americans barely bat an eyelash anymore. In case it's not obvious, we need more police. We need to equip those officers with the tools, training, and funding they need to do the job. And we need to drain the swamp of activist DAs who stand in their way. And in addition to more police, we need more God in this country. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Hey, it's First Alert Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton from Channel 4, and we are proud to be the official weather source for News Talk STL. Just like you've grown to expect from us at Channel 4, you can expect the same accurate, detailed, and timely weather coverage from News Talk STL. The First Alert weather team will keep you ahead of the big weather changes. And the one thing you can count on in St. Louis, the weather is constantly changing. So Channel 4 and News Talk STL are committed to keeping you up to date and safe.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise, has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour. Your finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Crazy Busy Wednesday afternoon on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Wednesdays have developed, Stell, into being like the busiest day of the week for us.
You know, I checked the calendar and it says Crazy Busy Wednesday.
Crazy Busy Wednesday. Not only are we packed full of great guests, and I look forward to Wednesday every week anyway, because it's the day that we open up Close's cabinet. we talked to our old friend Mark Close from KC95 a little bit after 3 o'clock, and we could all use a little let me up segment, a little break from the news and politics, and just check in with the old man. And it's always great to talk to Mark, so always look forward to that. But, we've put together this schedule. My name's Tony Colombo, and this is Colombo and Katie. And Katie is my partner, but she is on maternity leave, so she's out for the rest of the year. And so we put together this schedule where we have our regular rotation of guests, but there's some of our regular contributors that have stepped up and are helping us out on a regular basis. And Stell's here every day with me now, and every day, Monday is Nick Schroer, and Tuesdays and Thursdays are Crane Durham. For whatever reason, Wednesday shook out to be the day that we got Rodney Boyd, we got Virginia Cruda, we have Mark Close. So Wednesdays have just been
like pour them all into the bowl.
Awesome shows. Yes, a great day to be listening. Make sure, especially on a day like today, you are subscribed to the Colombo and Katie podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whatever that may be, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, so you never miss anything on the show. And also make sure you're subscribed to the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel, which today I'm sure looks pretty I often forget about these cameras in front of us, Stell, and you can of course listen to us every day, but you can also watch us every day on the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel, or the News Talk STL Rumble channel, or the News Talk STL Facebook page. And I would imagine a day like today, Stell's waving at all the cameras.
I'm not sure which one.
And you got one right in front of you. You got one right in front of you, yeah. Right. Yeah, I had a little bit of a relapse with the back last night, and I don't know what I look like on this camera, but
I noticed
it's probably a little bit entertaining. I'm going to try to get up in this chair.
You were moving slower when you came in.
I am almost never sitting down when I do the show, but I think we're going to sit today still.
There, that's better.
Woo, yeah. So, got a packed show for you, a whole lot to talk about, and a lot of great guests. So, like I said, make sure you are listening, and make sure you're subscribed to the podcast and the YouTube channel and all that great stuff so you never miss anything. A lot of Twitter stories today in the news. The city attorney of San Diego, California, says her office will no longer be using Twitter because of the troubling direction the social media platform is moving. San Diego City Attorney Mara W. Elliott shared her concerns yesterday on Twitter, saying, quote, "Twitter is moving in a troubling direction, one that promotes hatred, violence, bullying, and false information."
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. It is not there's a lot of this today. It is not a forum where users can feel respected or safe. We deserve better, Elliott wrote. For that reason, my office will no longer communicate using Twitter. Elliott said her office would henceforth be using Instagram for news releases, media interactions, and publicly issued legal opinions. Because if you want a platform that you know is not influenced by or directed by media and the government, Mark Zuckerberg, he's your guy.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're on a platform that's completely uninfluenced by outside measures. Instagram and Mark Zuckerberg, that's your guy.
Yeah.
What a joke. I wonder if, when I read these stories, are you that stupid or are you just a liar? Because it can only be one or the other. To act like, I've got to get away from Twitter now because Elon Musk owns it, and because now it's not a safe place to communicate. I'm going to go somewhere that is safe, like Meta.
Dare I ask?
There is no Facebook anymore. So,
what party is she from? Did it say?
It just said. You know what? Let me check. I'm going to assume Democrat, but
I would assume the same. But I would
city
be surprised.
attorney, just San Diego city attorney.
Yeah, that figures. Okay.
Yep. I don't see political parties still. I only see people.
Yes.
I only see people. Speaking of Twitter, not only is it the San Diego city attorney, it's the White House. The White House has deleted a tweet flagged by Twitter that credited Biden for Social Security payment increase. The White House today deleted a tweet that credited President Biden's leadership, that's in quotes, President Biden's leadership for the increase in Social Security payments, which was flagged by Twitter as something that was actually caused by a 40-year high in inflation. Seniors are getting the biggest increase in their Social Security checks in 10 years through President Biden's leadership, the White House tweeted yesterday. The White House tweet was accompanied by a note from Twitter. Remember these things? Remember when Twitter started fact-checking tweets? They weren't taking them down, but they were putting like little disclaimers on tweets. They started that with Trump, and they did it with other people, and people were getting all either bent out of shape or celebrating them. Many of people on the left were celebrating them, saying, now you can't just put these lies out there. Twitter's got a system where it's checking you. It's not taking your tweet down, but it's just saying, here's a whole bunch of information that may say, add a little more context to this story and either disprove it or maybe just fill in the gaps a little bit.
And shadow ban you on the side.
Correct. Yes. So, the White House puts out this tweet. Seniors, quote, seniors are getting the biggest increase in their Social Security checks in 10 years through President Biden's leadership. The White House tweet was accompanied by a note from Twitter that said many readers were adding context to the White House message that said the rise in Social Security payments were, in fact, quote, due to the annual cost of living adjustment, which is based on the inflation rate. Twitter adds context notes when they are rated highly enough by Twitter users, a point that Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, stressed today, saying, quote, the community notes feature is awesome. Our goal is to make Twitter the most accurate source of information on Earth without regard to political affiliation. So instead of just tweeting it, the White House tweeting this thing about Social Security and claiming that Joe Biden is responsible for the high payments, they just took it. They just deleted the tweet because they were fact checked by Twitter. And whether you like that, I don't really like the idea of notes or disclaimers or whatever. I feel like, we all are smart enough to know what we're reading on Twitter and looking at, and I hope like doing our own research and if you're looking for an echo chamber, you're going to find your echo chamber. If you're looking to fight, you're going to be able to find a fight. I don't need to see Twitter or Facebook or anybody else like putting these notes up there. It's not for me. Mm-hmm. However, this was a system that was celebrated by Democrats, by the left, for years.
Yep.
Because anytime Trump or a Republican or anything would be put out there about COVID, about mandates, about the economy, whatever it would be, these notes would show up and people would say, yeah, see, we're not deleting the tweets, but we're correcting them and we're showing people the truth. Well, and I'm sure Joe Biden and if this wasn't commonplace with Donald Trump, like somebody correcting the president on Twitter, a company correcting the president on Twitter before Donald Trump, that would be unheard of. For somebody to publicly, like, a company to publicly deny a direct communication from the White House. You could definitely, you could obviously debating about it and talking about it and all that stuff, but to like flag content that's put out by the president, that was unheard of before Donald Trump.
I would have loved to have been at the press conference today just to see if anyone would have asked about that. Yeah.
Joe Biden has thin skin as it is with the media. So he just has to be falling over backwards, thinking like, how dare you put a context note on my tweet? And instead of leave it up, they just take it down.
I'm sure Jean-Pierre would have some sort of excuse for it.
Yeah. What else? Man, there's just so much to talk about. New York Times columnist this week struggled, I love this story, with how left-leaning comedians can't attract audiences while conservative commentators are thriving. Author and professor Tressie McMillan Cottom, not Cotton, with an M at the end, Cottom, began by listing a string of late-night shows where the hosts announced that they were leaving or the shows were canceled altogether, countering those examples with the successes of conservative podcast hosts. She claimed liberals rely on satire while conservatives rely on outrage. And right now, the outrage is getting a bigger audience than the satire. This is the most condescending crap I've ever read. Listen to this. She says, quote, when you look across media platforms, it's easier to see how conservative psychological preference for outrage bodes better for their growth in satellite radio, lifestyle media, and, of course, social media. Because everyone knows that conservative politics is what's embraced and running rampant and unfiltered on social media platforms. I mean, what are you talking about? And the columnist added, quote, bluntly, scholars who study political communication and humor, who are these people? Scholars that are studying political communication and humor.
Some at an Ivy League school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Often find that liberals are ironic smart alecks and conservatives are outraged moralists. The author said that conservatives don't like late night comedy because they can't handle criticism. Quote, if you have a high need for clear-cut moral rules, then satire is going to make you pretty anxious. Ouchy stuff if us versus them makes you feel safest, she wrote. She claimed the popularity of outrage commentary made it harder to sell liberal politics on late-night television. So it's not that it's not funny. It's not that it's not entertaining. It's that you're not smart enough to know what's going on.
So is she putting Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters and the others into that conservative category?
Yes.
And they can't handle
all the late night shows like
and on top of
Colbert
that,
and Kimmel
on the other side,
are the ones that are failing, not because they're wrong, because
which they are,
not because they're not funny, because you don't understand that it's funny, because you don't know how to see satire, because you're scared of that if you're a conservative.
You know what dances in my mind? Colbert with, speaking of dancing, with the dancing syringes behind him, that one skit that he did. And I thought, you know what, Steve, you are totally out of the realm of comedy here, buddy. This is, and we get flack. And anyone on the right gets flack for doing something like that from the opposite end. But, it's fine for Colbert to do it. And they can't handle the Babylon Bee either. Oh, my goodness.
Maybe it's just not funny. Maybe that's why it's failing. Maybe it's not funny. Maybe it's not entertaining.
Exactly.
Is Dave Chappelle an outraged conservative moralist? Because he's killing it right now. And I don't think that he falls into the category of outraged conservative moralists. Maybe things are funny and entertaining because they're funny and or entertaining. And no matter how hard you try to tell everyone they don't understand the world and how much smarter you are than they are, the truth is, as people learn what you actually stand for, the more they want to run away from it. I mean, look at me. I'm a pro-choice, pro-gay marriage, pro-legalization libertarian. I can't find one thing that I agree with you guys on. Now, you'd think that I could find some part of your satire funny or entertaining, but I don't. So maybe it's you guys. Maybe it's the ugly hatred of the progressive left that's not funny and or entertaining.
And you can go right down the line. Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon.
But we don't write for the New York Times, and I'm not an author or a professor, so I guess that they know better than we do. But I hate that stuff. I hate that condescension of, it's not that we're wrong, it's not that we're bad, it's that you don't understand. You're not smart enough to understand the world. You don't know what's going on.
Speaking of understanding the world, and the New York Times article today on the situation in Brazil, where they're having protests in the streets because of Bolsonaro. I always get his name mispronounced. Bolsonaro? Something like that. You know who I'm...
Close enough.
Yeah. His loss in the election, and the New York Times framed it as, this was a fair election because Biden and Macron and some of the others just chimed right in with, this was a fair and honest election. No, I'm sorry. I don't believe that it was. When you look down the ballot and all the others in Bolsonaro's party won by 20 to 30%, he lost by 2%, 51 to 49. That suspicious 51 to 49 gap that shows up. And it was a fair and honest election.
All the more reason to be vigilant and diligent and make sure that you are listening to News Talk STL for the next 6 days and voting this coming Tuesday. And somebody that we are going to talk to about everything happening this coming Tuesday night. And I've got a bunch of poll results. The latest Real Clear Politics average on some of these big races happening around the country. I want to touch on some of those and go through some of these issues with our next guest, the Insider's Insider, Rodney Boyd, joins us in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Bolnasaro.
Oh,
I think I got it there. Okay.
I can't stand up.
We'll fix you during the break.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie. Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
In all the madness of the crazy political world that we are living in, I often remind folks that it is very important to unplug and get away when you can. You don't have to take a vacation. If you can take a vacation, that's wonderful. But if you just take a couple hours in the afternoon or on the weekend and just get away from it all, it is so good for the soul. And right now, it is a great time to be enjoying the great outdoors. It's a great time to be out on the water fishing. Hunting season is underway in both Missouri and Illinois. And of course, if you are going to be partaking in any of those great outdoor activities, you need to visit our friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alden, Illinois, about a mile east of Fast Eddie's. Bluff City Outdoors has been the headquarters for anglers, for fishermen in the area for decades. And now with their brand new expansion, and they're amazing. I fell in love with the archery range. Now that they have that, and they have a larger selection of products and services on top of their already great fishing services, they are the place to go before your next outdoor activity. Also, of course, don't forget about the Bluff City Outdoors show, which you can hear every Saturday at 11 a.m. here on News Talk STL, hosted by myself and the owner of Bluff City Outdoors, Mark McMurray. Make sure you are listening to that, and make sure you podcast that show as well, as we have a lot of fun every week on the Bluff City Outdoors show, and they have a lot of fun every day at Bluff City Outdoors. Learn more about Bluff City Outdoors, learn more about that archery range and all the services they have for you by following them on Facebook, or just go to bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Plain talk from our true constitutional conservative voice, Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
We have to stop the crazy liberal agenda of defunding the police. We need more support for law enforcement. Give them the tools to stop violent crime, illegal immigration, and the cartels from flooding our state with their illegal drugs.
Mary Elizabeth Coleman opposes all taxpayer funding for illegal immigrants and will fight to cut state funding to cities that give sanctuary to illegal immigrants.
Biden's open border policy has brought fentanyl to our neighborhoods. Thousands of Missourians are dying as a result. Missouri should join the other states and send our National Guard troops to the border if that's what it takes to keep our families safe.
True constitutional conservative Mary Elizabeth Coleman supports a Parents' Bill of Rights, is pro-jobs, A-rated by the NRA, and the only one in this state Senate race endorsed by Missouri Right to Life. Paid for by friends of Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years, featuring exclusive products, unbeatable prices, and expert installation. You can choose from a wide variety of flooring options, including carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, plus many other options. And you'll gain a peace of mind knowing that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home online. Check out everything Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Wednesday, Bob Mahacha, candidate for state representative. Donna Jackson on affirmative action. Katie McKinney of the Classical Academy de Lafayette. David Schoen, Jewish Americans honoring Trump.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here with producer Stell. Of course, Katie is on maternity leave, And as I mentioned, joining us now, as he has been doing every Wednesday, helping out a whole lot in Katie's absence, is our good friend, the Insider's Insider. Rodney Boyd joins us 6 days away from the election. My friend, how are you?
You know, I'm good, man. This time always seems to go even faster than we predicted when we're far away from elections. Yeah. It's hard to believe we're rapidly approaching next Tuesday, man.
It truly is. It truly is. And I wanted to ask you about this, Rodney. I was thinking about this driving in today and thinking about this conversation that we were going to have with you. With everything happening, there's so much. There's so many stories around the country, and I want to we have time, I want to get into a few of them. The possibility of a Republican winning the governor race in the state of New York is insane. What's developed in Pennsylvania is extremely compelling, and in Georgia and in Michigan and so many other places. I'm a little worried about Missouri. We had Missouri on primary night. We had what had to be one of the biggest elections. I mean, a midterm primary. It's already, it's not a highlight election by any stretch. But what was happening here in Missouri with the Senate primary was national news, and it was a big deal, and it was a top of the ballot item. But we still, as I was talking with Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft just a few days ago, we still did not have very good voter turnout. I mean, even compared to other midterm primaries, again, which already, struggle with voter turnout. Without having that top of the ballot issue now in Missouri, with our Senate race in the eyes of many people being sort of decided, which I think is very dangerous, and you should never take anything for granted and make sure you vote on Tuesday. But as we watch all of these other incredible races and we watch all this drama unfold, I'm a little bit worried about the motivation of Missourians to turn out on Tuesday night. Do you share any of that concern, Rodney?
I do. Look, there's no doubt this is going to be, in terms of Missouri, it's going to be a low turnout election because, as you said, it's not just that there's not a sort of a big sort of contingent race at the top of the ticket.
Of the ballot,
It is that in part. But those races always engender a ton of money. What do I mean by that? You have people that will buy ads on every possible medium, television, radio, social media, and they keep an energy around the race that is palpable. You can touch it. We have a competitive race, right? But there's an assumption. If you looked at all the prognostications, Missouri is not even considered, in terms of the way people look at contentious races, Missouri is already settled as red. So your concern, your point is well taken, that when you make these assumptions, and these pundits make these assumptions, and then there's not this energy, what are the unintended or what are the unexpected consequences of a low turnout? That's something that we're going to learn. I mean, because there's just not the kind of national, if you look at like Pennsylvania, like you talked about, is obviously you got Dr. Oz, you got Fetterman, New York governor's race, as you said, Herschel Walker and Warnock. I mean, all these races are garnering all the attention, a lot of money, national and local money flowing into these races. And then there's Missouri, which is just very, very nationally quiet. In fact, it's almost like we're on mute. It's like unless you live here, you don't hear anything about this race, the Senate race. And that is going to create a very interesting lull, I think, in turnout. Now, look, the two camps are spending a lot of money in these next 6 days or 7 days to really get their base riled up, because they don't want to fall into that statistic on either side. So I think there'll be some more Missouri-focused resources, but nothing like the scale that we're seeing from even Pennsylvania, or certainly not from Georgia, which that race has sort of become like the national popcorn watch the race, right?
Oh, yeah.
I even watched the debate. I just wanted to see the debate. I wanted to see how Mr. Walker and Warnock would square off. A little bit similar. You got a lot of, not a lot, but you got some energy in the Florida race with Val Jennings and Marco Rubio. But Missouri, we're quiet. And it's going to, I think, lend itself to a low turnout.
Here's my concern on that, Rodney, is that without that top of the ticket motivation, that big race at the top that gets people out there, there are a lot of very close, contentious, and important state representative races and state Senate races all over the St. Louis area and all over the state in general. And a low turnout for those races can really have big consequences for the people that live in various communities. Because if they don't get out and vote, and all of a sudden their local, area has a seat flip or something happen that they are not really a fan of, it can sometimes be drawn back to the fact that, well, nobody showed up to vote.
And this is why all these elections, all of these elections should be taken extremely serious, because when you get beyond the U.S. Senate race, your point is well taken. We have a significant issue around recreational marijuana on the ballot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of local races. You've got a major race in St. Louis County now. It wasn't a major race a couple of weeks ago, but now after the primary, you've got the largest county in the state has a pretty contentious race that doesn't seem to have a whole lot of energy around it from what you can see in the various mediums. Those of us, you and I, we pay attention to it, so it's a big deal. But as you get away from people who are looking and dialoguing about this stuff every day, it's just not something top of mind.
Yeah.
There are a lot of folks who are, there's some, who's running? This is the question that people will say. 7 days, 8 days out, who's running in that race? And then you've obviously got, coming into the city, the president of the Board of Aldermen, the third most, or some cases, second most important position, at a time when the city of St. Louis is constantly in the national news for something, right? And so the consequence of these low turnout elections is you end up getting people on both sides of the aisle turned off, tuned out, and then they don't like the outcome, but that's usually the November the 9th analysis. So the question is, why do we always wait until the election's over, and then we don't want to, we want to complain about who's in charge when the time is now. This is the time where everybody listening to your show should be doing a real analysis about these races, from the U.S. Senate race, the marijuana race, local elections, regional, about what are these candidates about, and talking to each other, having the kind of dialogue about these races that we have about, a number of issues, the new manager for the Cardinals, or how the Blues are doing or not doing, right? We get so amped up about these things that have a certain social importance. But I think these elections, we end up, not paying attention at the right time, and then having to wait 4 years or 6 years to really say, well, I'm going to do something different. And and we talked about this last time, sir.
Yeah.
This election sets the table for 2024. There's no detaching next Tuesday from 2024.
So history will tell you that after 2 years of a presidency and having both houses of the Congress, that that will flip on you. And it flipped pretty historically on Barack Obama, and it's shaping up to potentially be even more historic for Joe Biden and the Democrats this coming Tuesday. And as we look across the country at these races, as I mentioned, the fact that we're even talking about a Republican winning the governor's seat in the state of New York is crazy. And if that happens, it will be, what a message being sent to the Democratic Party. But same thing in Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz was always sort of the outsider, and Fetterman's got the name recognition, which we know goes a long way. And sure, he's got a whole lot of struggles, but that he's been comfortably ahead in most of the polls right up until now, and it looks like that could be changing. Same story down in Georgia. Same story with the governor's seat in Michigan. In Ohio, J.D. Vance has really pulled ahead in a lot of the most recent polling. All of these toss-ups seem to have the momentum on the side of the Republican candidate. I can't remember a time when a more clear message has been sent to a political party. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. When you see this happening, when you feel this, you see this happening, and not just in one state or one area of the country, but you see it everywhere.
Good point.
Rodney, I can't remember a time when a major political party has seemingly found itself completely on the wrong side of American voters across the country. Do you see it that way?
Let me tell you something. I think we're going to wake up on November the 9th, and there's going to have to be what they call the great introspection, right? I think that if what the trends are showing, because 4 weeks ago, I could agree that the U.S. House was going to flip Republican, and I was thinking, well, maybe it flips by 10 seats. If there is what people are prognosticating now, 20-seat 25-seat change in the U.S. House of Control in a week. And if now I'm watching some of these different prognosticators and pundits say that not only do they believe that the Senate is in play, but it would actually be in play in a way where you could have a 52 or 50. I mean, this is staggering, right?
Yeah.
If these things happen, you have no choice in terms of the Democratic Party other than to have a real clarion introspective wake-up call season, not a day, where you would take the rest of these next 2 years and figure out what your destiny is. Because I think any kind of catastrophic changing in terms of leadership where you have basically a supermajority in the House and enough of a majority in the Senate for 2 or 3 people to be off the reservation and you still can exercise your will, I think it creates an incredibly difficult pathway, almost impossible, but impossible is a strong word, but almost very improbable maintaining the White House in 2024. Yeah. And to have it all, think about this, to have it all of it, all right?
All of it. Every bit.
It all in 2.5, 3 years is to require that kind of self-analysis.
Spectacularly lose it all, Rodney. Spectacularly lose it all. We only have a few minutes left here talking to the great Rodney Boyd, who I hope will be a part of our election coverage. Hopefully we can check in with you on Tuesday night and then a week from...
absolutely.
Yeah. You and I have been part of very, very many late nights, and I don't know if this coming Tuesday will be a late night, but it's certainly going to be an interesting night. What does your gut tell you about the Senate, Rodney? Do you have a gut feeling? Do you feel like this is something that is going to be under Republican control?
I've been paying attention to the races and around the country, and I'm telling you, I didn't fully buy the switch. I think there could be definitely a Republican majority in the Senate, and that is unbelievable to me, man. Because like I said, I was pretty settled that the House could flip, but to now think about Mitch McConnell getting the gavel back at a time when he and McCarthy will come back in together. I just didn't see it. But I'm watching these races. I'm watching the messaging. The one thing that has been consistent in our adult lives is the economy has a huge impact on Election Day. If people are feeling financial, fiscal uncertainty, pain, and angst, what we know is that typically Republicans get trusted more. Whatever you think about, they get trusted more on the economy. And if the issue going into next Tuesday, as it is today, is still the economy, that errs in favor of the Republican Party. And it typically always has. And that's why I'm starting to look at these races now and think, yeah, I get it, but I just think if people wake up and say, I'm worried about my financial situation the next year or two, inflation, gas, other economic policies, taxes, I think a lot of people fall over, independents and a lot of libertarians who might like one or two elements might end up pulling a lever. So if we have that new paradigm where the Republicans take over both chambers, and we will know this was radical to me, we'll know this this time next week.
Yeah, sure will.
It's pretty amazing. And I think that the Democrat Party has really tried to figure out how to maintain control in the Senate, but some of it just doesn't look like it's a given anymore.
We've got you fully covered when it comes to election night and the next 6 days leading up to it, and of course we'll be here all night with you on Tuesday night, and hopefully we'll be checking in with Rodney Boyd that evening as part of that coverage. Rodney, really appreciate all of your help, and look forward to talking to you very soon, my friend. It's going to be an exciting week.
Yes. It's going to be an exciting week, and it's going to be a very important election night. So tell your listeners to please tune in and actually vote.
Please vote.
And get involved.
You got that right. Thank you, Rodney. That is Rodney Boyd. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. All right, we have coming up just after 3 o'clock, it being Wednesday, we're going to open up Close's Cabinet. Talk to our friend Mark Close from KC95 as we do every Wednesday. And in just a moment, we are going to talk to our friend Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire, who has a brand new article up on our website, newstalkstl.com, that deals with voting and, some of that motivation to get out to the ballot box on Tuesday night. So we'll talk to her about that and more in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 941, 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. What's happening?
The government September employment report. The unemployment rate is 3.5%.
The reason we're investigating Hunter Biden is because we believe he's a national security threat.
The latest news, analysis, and opinion.
OPEC's decision to cut production.
OPEC decided to turn their backs on the world.
Everything has a price. Energy security has a price as well.
Right here under the ground, we have oil.
Kamala Harris.
The United States.
It's gross incompetence.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
What's more American than baseball, apple pie, and voting? I'm Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft. Voting is a right and a responsibility. On Tuesday, November 8th, if you're registered, you can vote by showing a valid photo ID or casting a provisional ballot. Before you vote, research the issues and the candidates. Missouri has accessible, secure, accurate elections. Make your voice heard and vote.
Sponsored by Missouri Secretary of State, sos.mo.gov.
The Range St. Louis West is Missouri's best indoor shooting range. With 20 climate-controlled lanes, over 70 firearms available to rent, and the best staff in the business, you're guaranteed to enjoy every minute of your time with us. Our impressive showroom is full of the latest and greatest offerings from the best manufacturers in the business. Need an optic, spare magazines, holster, or any other accessory? Let our professional staff help you find exactly what you need and get it installed for you. Mention you heard us on News Talk STL and save $100 on your membership and enjoy even more goodies. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Ken and Dr. Tobler, did you see the picture of Kanye with a shirt on, and on the back it said, "White Lives Matter"? He was originally Kanye West, right?
Yep.
Then just Kanye. Now he's just Ye. Is
Oh, you're kidding me. No,
yeah,
really?
Oh, yeah. Now he's just Ye, Y-E. So soon to just be E.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com.
Indeed, you can stream us on our website, newstalkstl.com. You can stream us on our app, News Talk STL app, which you can buy in the App Store, the Google Play Store. Buy. It's free. What am I saying? Just download. Also, speaking of free,
I thought maybe you had something going on the side there.
Maybe I should start. Maybe I should start selling it. Also, speaking of free, the Colombo and Katie podcast, which you should be subscribed to on your favorite podcast platform, is absolutely free. So, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, wherever you get your podcasts, you can get the Colombo and Katie show. That goes for all the shows here at News Talk STL. And also, don't forget about a brand new YouTube channel, Colombo and Katie on YouTube. We stream live there every day and put some other fun videos up there. I'm sure we'll be using the YouTube channel on election night as well as in the days ahead of that as well. So make sure you're following us at all of those places so you never miss anything that happens here at the station, including, speaking of our website, newstalkstl.com. Right now, the top story on the website is by our friend who is on the phone with us now. Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire joins us. Virginia, always great to talk with you, especially 6 days before the election. It's an exciting time, my friend.
Yeah, you know what is the old Chinese proverb? It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
May you live in interesting times.
No kidding.
Live in interesting times.
I feel like seriously, it's 2:48, 2:49, and I feel like the show started 1 minute ago because there's just so much to talk about. Right. There's so much going on. It's like time it's just flying because there's so much happening. We were just talking to Rodney Boyd in that last segment, and one of the highlights of that conversation was my concern as voters in Missouri watch across the country, all these dramatic races developing in all these different states and different areas, I'm afraid of complacency here in the state of Missouri without having that top of the ticket item. And, it's very important to remind people, and this goes for Illinois as well, to remind people that it's still very important. There's still a lot of very important local elections and other ballot initiatives that your voice needs to be heard on. So don't be complacent. Don't just, pop the popcorn and watch what happens in Pennsylvania. Make sure you get out and vote in Missouri and Illinois. And you have a great article on the website right now, on our website, newstalkstl.com, that kind of talks about that importance and also kind of reminds folks about, priorities as we get ready to vote. Could you tell us about that article a little bit?
Right. Well, you can't get complacent. And, we talk about this and we joke about the St. Louis sports teams and their uncanny ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Yes. It happens all the time,
Yes.
And it is one of those things where it's very easy, and Republicans are great at this too, let me tell you. You get to this, you get excited, you get really ready to go vote, and then something happens in the last minute and it changes your mind. But you really have to question the value of these things. Because, the October surprise, to give you an example, it's so common that it has a name. It's the October surprise.
Yeah.
It's coming. This shouldn't be a surprise anymore. Even though it's in the name, it shouldn't shock you when it happens.
Right.
So if you look at, for example, one of the big races that you were talking about, in Georgia, I mentioned Herschel Walker has been accused by a woman who used to live with him of
paying for
pressuring her to get an abortion and then paying for it.
Yeah.
So let's forget for a minute the fact that he says that that's not true, that he gave away money like it was water when he was playing because he had it. Mm-hmm. And so all she says, the only thing that she's shown as far as proof is concerned is a canceled check from him.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say what it's for. It was a check written to her by him, and he said could have been anything.
Right.
She might have wanted to go shopping, and he said, sure, why not? On me. But regardless, even if you throw out the fact that he's denied it and all it is an accusation, right?
Yep.
Throw that out and assume it's absolutely true. Assume that he did that. Keep in mind this was 2009. So first you have to say, he did this in 2009, and we're not going to allow him to have evolved past that.
Mm-hmm.
He can't have changed his mind. He can't have been somebody different 13 years ago than he is today. We can't have that. He's got to be that same person in that same mindset. That's the only thing that we're allowed to view him as.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you hold a candidate to those standards, and then if you decide to stay home, you decide to stay home because of that one issue, you make it a little bit easier for somebody who probably stands against everything that you stand for to be elected to office. I think it's a great point.
I'm kind of laughing because you just made the exact same case I make against voting libertarian. Because you make it easier for the side you don't like to win.
I know.
But okay, so we can talk about that another time.
Well, here's what I wanted to ask you, because the article is "Don't let perfect be the enemy of good," and I think it's such a great thing to have in your mind as we get ready to vote on Tuesday. And I think that this is exactly the path that has led the Democrats, the progressive left, to the position that they're in, where they find themselves on the other side of voters across the country, because they have demanded. They had so much success at the beginning that they have demanded basically that you go along with every single agenda item, every point. Don't step out of line. You can't agree with us on 9 out of 10 things. You got to agree with us on 10 out of 10 things, or you're not in the club. They've been that rigid, that hateful, that pushy. And I think that's exactly what has driven people away, because they are trying to be the perfect progressive party, and that is being rejected roundly. And they don't want you if you agree with 9 out of 10. You agree with 10 out of 10, or you get out. And I think
well,
that is.
And this was,
go ahead.
This was pretty apparent even in 2020. This is, if you look back to the presidential primaries, the Democratic primary in specific, Pete Buttigieg told a woman at a town hall meeting, a pro-life Democrat, that there was no room for her in the Democratic Party. He said it to her face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these are the things that, big tent, yeah, okay. They accuse Republicans of being, but that's really not, they've been, like you said, very rigid, and they don't want you if you don't agree with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's dangerous. It really is, because it kind of puts you in a box. And I'll tell you what, there's one thing that the American people don't like, and that's being put in boxes.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. But
or be told what to think, or be told why you're not smart enough, or why you're wrong.
Right.
People do not like that, and that is what the progressive left has been doing for 2 years.
What Hillary Clinton did today, was just telling people the only reason Democrats are going to lose is because voters aren't smart enough to figure out how much is at stake in this election.
Yeah. I talked about in the first segment. I talked about that New York Times column where basically it said the columnist said that the reason that late night talk shows and comedians are failing is because people aren't smart enough to understand satire, and conservatives are too sensitive to be picked on, or maybe it's just not funny. Maybe it's just not funny. Yeah, maybe you're just not funny. Maybe you're just not entertaining. Maybe that's exactly why that's happening. Yeah. Virginia, go ahead.
Hey, can I really quick?
Real quick, got about a minute. Go ahead.
You were talking about the top of the ticket and people not going out because, maybe because we don't have a race like Pennsylvania or Georgia. But guess what? The top of the ticket is actually the bottom of the ticket, because if you think about it, all politics is local. Your county board has more to do with what happens to you every day than the president of the United States. So be going out to vote for that, because that's who's controlling what you do every day.
That's exactly right. Virginia, I hope you can be a part of our coverage on election night. I hope we can check in with you that night. Of course, you can hear Virginia every week with Vic. You can hear Virginia every week with myself. And you can read our articles at the Daily Wire and, of course, on our website, newstalkstl.com. Virginia, thanks as always for your time this afternoon. We'll talk to you again very soon.
Sounds good.
All right. That is our friend Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. And I want to remind you one more time before we take this break and talk to our buddy Mark Close from KC95 that you can download our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to Colombo and Katie on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, whatever your favorite place is, especially with just 6 days before the election. And don't forget that we will have you covered top to bottom in the days leading up to the election. And, of course, also on election night, we'll be here for you as late as we need to be. And nobody will have better coverage after the election for you. And then we dive right into 2024 presidential politics. And we've got it all covered here at News Talk STL. Don't go anywhere. It's Wednesday, so we're going to open up Close's Cabinet when we get back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
When's the last time you checked your 401k balance? Well, let me prepare you. It's not pretty. The 40-year record high inflation has cost many Americans almost 25% of their 401k savings. And with the volatile market hinting at a possible worse recession coming our way, I'm worried. Are you? Meanwhile, President Biden was recently questioned at an ice cream shop and asked if he was worried about our economy. He replied that our economy is strong as hell. If that's the case, then why is my 401k in the dump? So you have a choice to make. You can sit back and relax like the president and act like nothing is happening, or you can be proactive and call Steve All of the All Financial Group and stop losing your money. Call Steve today and ask for that Stop Losing the Money plan. 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or visit yourmoneymattersstl.com. Advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, the All Financial Group, and Retirement Wealth Advisors not affiliated. Insurance and annuities offered through the All Financial Group.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. what you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The Federal Reserve pumped up its benchmark interest rate by 0.75 of a point for a fourth straight time, but hinted that it could soon reduce the size of its rate hikes. More details from correspondent Bernie Bennett.
The Fed's move raised its key short-term rate to a range of 3.75% to 4%, its highest level in 15 years. It was the central bank's sixth rate hike this year, a streak that has made mortgages and other consumer and business loans increasingly expensive and heightened the risk of a recession. But in a statement, the Fed suggested that it could soon shift to a more deliberate pace of rate increases. It said that in coming months, it would consider the cumulative impact of its large rate hikes on the economy. It noted that its rate hikes take time to fully affect growth and inflation. In Washington, I'm Bernie Bennett.
Also at townhall.com, a former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. says a major victory by former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu proves it's never wise to consider his political career over.
That he's always going to come back, and now he has come back in great force with apparently a 65-seat majority. It's a very solid government. And that's just with his immediate bloc. He could add on additional members, and I think he's going to try to.
Dr. Michael Oren says the conservative Netanyahu will likely seek to include more liberal parties in his coalition government to allow himself to a moderate position in the government. Oren interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. Hurricane Lisa strengthening in the western Caribbean as it headed for a landfall in Belize later in the day, then moving on to southeastern Mexico by Thursday. And far out in the Atlantic, tropical storm Martin is now at hurricane strength, no immediate threat to any land. The Dow is down 506 points, the NASDAQ off 366. More at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Ethiopia's government and Tigray authorities agreeing to talks in South Korea to a permanent cessation of hostilities in a 2-year conflict which cost hundreds of thousands lives. Hong Kong bracing for Tropical Storm Naojai.
Schools and offices closed and some events were cancelled in the territory as Naojai swept south of the city. While temporary shelters were opening, theme parks swiftly closed. Afternoon trading was suspended in the stock market. Some ferry and bus services halted and some public services, ranging from vaccinations to childcare and elderly centres, shuttered. Residents are being urged to stay away from the shoreline and avoid water sport activities. The Hong Kong Observatory has raised a number 8 typhoon signal, the third highest warning under the city's weather system, as Naojai's maximum sustained winds hit 56 miles per hour. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Breaking news at townhall.com. The man who authorities say wounded 2 Newark police officers as they attempted to question him about a previous shooting has been apprehended. 30-year-old Kendall Howard in custody, the officer suffering from non-life-threatening wounds. The latest poll has Republican Adam Laxalt leading Democrat incumbent Catherine Cortez Masto in the Nevada Senate race.
The latest good news for Republicans comes from a poll conducted by Emerson College Polling, KLAS 8 News Now, and The Hill. 50% of respondents say they favor Laxalt compared to 45% for Cortez Masto. Cortez Masto made history in 2016 when she became the first Hispanic woman elected to the U.S. Senate from Nevada. Since 2020, she and other Democrats have been faced with voter frustration over high inflation, an open border, and rising crime under the Biden administration. Bob Agnew reporting.
More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. Another nice night tonight, low down to 54 degrees. 78 for another mild day and lots of sunshine on Thursday. Friday turns a little breezy, 78 though for the high. So we have 2 more days with highs in the upper 70s. Records, by the way, in the low 80s. Not too far from it, but not quite record territory. Rain's going to move in Friday night into Saturday with a lot of wind as well. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill. Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com or on your radio at 1019, 941, and 991 HD3. News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Welcome home.
Just heard that weather forecast from Steve Templeton, and, it's just the truth. St. Louis weather is just unpredictable. You never know what to expect. Just when you think that, the cool weather is here to stay, we've got days that are pushing 80 degrees again. And, call me a baby, but when it's 80 degrees outside, I turn on the air conditioner. So I bounce back and forth from the heat to the air this time of year. And, that puts a lot of pressure on your HVAC system. And if you are having any problems with your HVAC system, make sure that you call our friends at Agers Heating and Air Conditioning, because doing right by the customer is their number one priority. That's why we trust Agers with our home. That's why it was the number one priority when we bought our house a few months ago, to have the Agers team out to take a look at the existing system and see if it was going to be right for us. It was not. I think it was 88 years old, and it was time to go. And we love the new system, just like we loved our system at our old house, all put in by Agers. And anytime that there has been an issue, it's like a weight off your chest knowing that you can call Agers and they are going to come out and they are going to explain to you exactly what's going on, so you have a full understanding of what's happening, present you with the options to, go about resolving this issue, and then you have all of that knowledge and can make the best choice for yourself, your home, your family, and your budget. And that goes for repairs or replacement. Agers is the place to call. Learn more on the website, callagers.com, AGERS, callagers.com.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL. You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
6 days to the election here at News Talk STL. You're listening to Colombo and Katie. I'm Tony Colombo. My partner, Katie Fitzpatrick, is on maternity leave. Producer Stel Ponticus is here in a studio with me, helping us out. And it being Wednesday, Stel, it means it's time for a little of this.
It's that time again. Time to open up Close's cabinet and see what's inside.
Mark Close from KC95, my old friend. How are you?
Hey, Stel, how you doing, buddy? Hey, man, two weeks in a row, bumper music. I'm digging, man. The hypnotized early Fleetwood Mac. That's got to be Stel, because I know.
Oh, yeah.
His taste in music is for the love of God. So yeah, good job, Still. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. I knew you'd like it.
Yeah, this one was definitely for you. Going out to our friend Mark Close, Town and Country.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So I'm living a good life. I'm actually sitting at the grass at Francis Park.
Okay.
We're playing a little handball. So taking time to do the radio at Francis Park's in the city by St. Louis Hills, right behind Ted Drews. So make your order for concretes, and I'll bring them on by.
All right. Yeah. Like, you know what? It's like 80 degrees outside. I mean, it is like ice cream weather.
Oh, it's just, what, November 2nd? I'm old, man. I've been around a long time, and I cannot remember a fall this nice consistently.
No.
I just, not even close. Not even close. It's just
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. I know the lack of, we've had a little bit of rain over the last week. You know, we finally have had some, but, and I know that we've needed it really bad. I mean, drive over any bridge and you can see how low and, you know, how much water we need. However, all those days of blue skies, I never get tired of it. I never get tired of it.
And then you talk to did you say when you moved into your house, your HVAC system was 88 years old?
I was being a little bit sarcastic, but it was, I bet it was 30. I bet it was 30 years old. It was an old, it was an old dog.
Yeah, I was going to say, short of like, burning wood in your living room. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but this weather, and I'm like you.
It was an antique.
Speaking of the cheaper persuasion, anytime when I don't have the AC and the heater going, I'm a happy camper. I'm like, let's keep it going.
Yeah, I'm exactly the opposite. I set it.
Yeah, I know.
I hit the air conditioner. As soon as it's like above 70, the air's on. As soon as it's below, 65, the heat's on. Like I like to keep it right where I like it.
Worst case I ever had on that is we moved into a house a number of years ago, upstairs down 2-story, and each floor had its own unit.
Yeah.
So the one time I came home and Fern, my lovely bride, it was one of those days in the spring. She had the air conditioner going upstairs and the heater going downstairs at the same time. And I'm like, you're killing me, woman. You are killing me, woman.
That had to be, that has to be like most people, if they have sleep paralysis or they have a nightmare, it's about, I lost some, I had a nightmare where I was killed or somebody I love was hurt or whatever. Your nightmare is the thermostat being improperly used.
Well, and after that, I put on the little plastic covers with the lock on it. So, and she didn't have a key, so she was just SOL on that one, brother. So
hey,
kill me.
Dug her own grave, Mark.
I know.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
I know.
Several stories here. You got anything going on in your life? Before I don't want to. This is your show. I don't want to. If you got anything to talk about, I got some things for you. But anything going on that we need to make sure we talk about?
Just if you can make it quick, as I'm on my way to Walgreens to get the Halloween candy. It was half price yesterday. I'm holding off. It's like the stock market. I'm waiting for it to hit a certain number on candy corn, and I'm going in.
Here, let me ask you to do something. Judge a person. I know this isn't going to be difficult for you. Judge, I want you to get. I posted a video on Twitter last night. At Tony Colombo Talk on Twitter. My daughter, Maggie, our middle child, is a early adapter when it comes to holidays. She had her room in full-blown Halloween mode in mid-August. I mean, she had the pumpkins going. She had it all spooky, and she was still on summer break. And as of yesterday, as of November 1st, she has her Christmas tree up. She was sitting in her room with her. Christmas light pajama pants on, drinking hot chocolate out of her gingerbread man mug, very seriously, and with a peppermint candle burning that you could clearly smell, and Christmas music playing as she was doing homework and things like that. It's a little intense. Are you? I've been getting Christmas commercials on like YouTube for a month already, but now it's like you go into the stores and it's Christmas time.
Oh, they've like at Sam's and Walmart, they've had Christmas trees up for 6 weeks. They've been there, and they'll tell you in the world of retail, you got to get people early. That whole Black Friday thing, now everything is pre-Black Friday sale because you can't wait till Black Friday or you'll lose your opportunity to make the money. So, you know what? On a commercial aspect of it, it's a little bothersome. But with a kid, man, I just remember back and how, remember Halloween? That was the greatest freaking holiday on the face of the earth. You'd bang on doors and they'd give you candy, for God's sakes. So it's like anything you can make that last a little bit longer. Kids need to be kids as long as they can.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. And they're, with the internet, a 10-year-old knows more than I do at this point about a lot of things they really shouldn't know about. So anything that they can enjoy in their childhood longer, I'm all for it.
We have phased out Thanksgiving though, haven't we? It goes straight from Halloween. We've phased out Thanksgiving. It goes straight from Halloween to Christmas. Thanksgiving, you maybe Thanksgiving may get a mention the week, the week before or something like that. But it goes Halloween, Christmas.
Yep. No. And if Thanksgiving sold more items besides turkey, they would get more time. But there's not enough retail involved.
It's true. It's all about the money.
Yep, absolutely. Follow the dollar, bro.
Hey, speaking of that, did you see that there's a turkey shortage?
Oh yeah,
of all the different. Yeah, there's a turkey shortage along with everything else in the world. Thanksgiving turkeys are another thing that is going to be either A, hard to find, or B, more expensive than they should be, or C, a combination of both because of all the other, it's just the world we live in today.
Yeah, no, there's just pretty much a shortage of everything. And then like you said, even with the combination shortage, then they're going to charge you more for it too. So welcome to 2022, brother.
Yeah.
So
what is it? I've held on to this story for a couple days because I wanted to have Mark on with us when we talked about it, being with KC95 and being part of music radio for such a long time. I don't know if you're a Taylor Swift fan, Mark. I'm neither here nor there really personally, but it's certainly impressive what she has been able to do. And I don't know if you are aware of these records that she set this week. This is absolutely incredible. Whether you like Taylor Swift or this kind of music or not, this is wild. So, first, late last week, on Friday afternoon of last week, less than 24 hours after its release, her new album, which the fact that she even made an album is crazy because these days you don't have to release an entire album. You just make a song and put it out for download. So the fact that she released an entire, I think, 20-song album is pretty cool. On Friday afternoon, by mid-afternoon on Friday, less than 24 hours after its release, Taylor Swift's new album, Midnights, had already broken Spotify's record for the most streamed album in a single day. That's impressive. This next thing is crazy. I
know what you're going to say.
As of yesterday, Taylor Swift's album, Midnights, has become the first ever to take over the entire top 10 on the Billboard Top 100 charts. She has 1 through 10 on the Billboard charts right now are all Taylor Swift songs off of her new album. And that's, people hear like, oh, Spotify downloads, that's, how long have people even been downloading songs? That's not a big historic thing. The Billboard charts have been around forever, Mark.
Mark, you and I go back to the Beatles on the Billboard charts.
Yeah,
exactly. The top 5. They had the top 5 at one point, 1, 2, 5. But to have 1 to 10 is, like you said, it's historic. And again, what you asked earlier, I couldn't tell you one Taylor song if you put a gun to my head. But I admire this woman. Number one, she started in country. She was a country artist and then did the flip over. She writes her own music. And then the deal was, and this is where I really admire her, she had that one manager that had somehow gotten like the rights to her early stuff. So she went out and re-recorded the stuff. Same music, same song she wrote, re-recorded it to get it away from him. So she's a good business person. she's obviously a good writer and stuff. So, yeah, as a business person, I admire the hell out of her.
Top 10, all 10 spots on the Billboard charts is incredible. And all 20 songs on the new album are in the top 100. All 20 songs are on the Billboard charts, and 14 of the 20 are in the top 20. So she's got all 10 of the top 10, and then she's got 4 more before you get to number 20, and then she's also got number 21 and number 26. So she's got what, 16 songs in the top 30? I mean, that is on the Billboard charts. It's wild.
And you still have people calling the top 40 radio stations going, "Hey, could you play some Taylor Swift?" Yeah. We're playing Taylor Swift.
Here's the question that comes to my mind, Mark. What would Casey Kasem do in this situation in his top?
Oh, man.
In his countdown.
He would, even more upset about songs of dedications for dead dogs. Show one of the funniest recordings on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
He would just, and next up, is Taylor
First,
Swift,
when you got down to like the top 10 on that show, it took 2 hours to play 10 songs.
Oh, my God.
So it'd be a solid wall of Taylor Swift for 2 hours because it would be all commercials, all dedications, and all Taylor Swift.
Really? That's right.
Here's another one I got for you, Mark. And Stell, both of you, I want to ask you about this one. A new survey shows that 36% of garages in America are so cluttered that they don't have room for an actual car.
I believe it totally.
I
thought it'd be more than that.
I did too. That's a little
So
low.
did I.
Yeah.
So did I.
Does that make you?
Friends.
That's got to make you crazy, Mark.
You know what? I've had friends. And you and I both know who they are. That had a 3-car garage in a newer house and couldn't put a car in it.
Yep.
Couldn't put a car in it.
Yep.
I'm like, how do you have that much crap? And I get it. It's you gather stuff. But I'll tell you what, they're the greatest feeling in the world. Especially as you get older, you divest. You start getting rid of stuff you don't want, that you don't need. It's like when you move. I'd always heard the story. When you move, it's the 1 year, the 1 year rule. If you pack something and put it in a box, and you don't touch it for a year, unless it's like a family collectible, launch it.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
That's a good one.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Mark, I had a moment just about 2 weeks ago. So, we moved into our new house in the spring.
Right.
And the garage was one of the last things that we got to. There's still a few boxes that are still packed.
Sure, you moved. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So the garage was not, it's the first time I've ever had a 2-car garage, first of all, because moving on up. And my wife is a big park in the garage person, but it was still summertime and it was still nice. But she said, hey, as soon as it gets cold, when it starts raining or snowing, you better have, I need to have a spot in that garage. So a few weeks ago, rented a dumpster, took control of the garage, got it exactly the way I want it now. It's wide open. We could put 2 cars. My truck doesn't really fit in there, but it's big enough to put 2 cars in it if we wanted to. But I still have all of my garage stuff everywhere I want it to be. And literally, like the other day, like a week or so ago, I caught myself just standing in the garage looking at it, looking at my garage, going, this is it.
Hopefully, you got a photo of it too.
I'll take one.
There's a hammer hung on the wall.
Yeah.
No. Oh, open space.
I built little shelves to put the ladders up on the ceiling. And I'm like, I felt like I just constructed the Empire State Building. I'm like, I'm the smartest human that ever lived.
Nicely done. Yeah.
Look at me standing back and reveling in all my openness. No, I'm with you, brother. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. It's definitely, definitely a moment in time when you realize how important your garage is to you. But 36% of Americans don't even have enough room to park an actual car in their garage. And I agree with both of you. I'm surprised that it's not even higher than that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Marker. That's going to do it. We're about out of time here. We're going to talk to you next Wednesday. Very much looking forward to talking to you next Wednesday. It'll be the day after the election, and I'm sure it's going to be crazy time. So we're going to need a little bit of a break, and certainly always appreciate you taking time from the handball game and from the grass cutting to join us.
All right, brother. You guys have fun. Take care.
Hold on. Hey, Mark, we got to give you our order, our Ted Drew's order here. So
Oh,
yeah.
Can you stay on the line here?
Yeah, don't go anywhere. Still send it to you. There you go. That is Mark Close. He joins us every Wednesday for Close's Cabinet here on Colombo and Katie, and we certainly appreciate it. Don't go anywhere. The Tim Jones and Chris Arp show about to start. If you missed anything from today's Colombo and Katie show, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to us on our new YouTube channel. And, of course, subscribe to News Talk STL everywhere else, Facebook, Rumble, Twitter. Make sure you're on our website, newstalkstl.com, especially with just 6 days before the election. Nobody will have you covered better with that election coverage than us here at News Talk STL. All right, Tim Jones and Chris Arps coming in now. They will get you through the rest of your Wednesday afternoon. Colombo and Katie back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio.
It's not a meaningless question. Ask if they've been and gone.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Fox News commentary.
The third-party Senate candidate in Arizona has dropped out and now backs Republican Blake Masters. All eyes on the Grand Canyon State as we are less than a week away from what I hope will be Red Tide Tuesday. I'm Tommy Laren. More next.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and